G'day and welcome to the Law and Order podcast, a show about why games matter and how they shape our lives. I'm James Padley, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host Amrith Eldridge. Amrith, how are you doing?
James, very good. Very good to be back.
I know, this is something that no one who's been listening to the podcast will be able to identify, but through the magic of editing and a little bit of forward thinking and planning, we were able to record the previous 5 episodes that everyone's listened to, hopefully. And then you were able to go on a hike around New Zealand for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, phenomenal. Wonderful trip. If I felt for a second it would have been even more impressive if you're like, now, through the magic of hiking and audio, you record the podcast while you were hiking.
Mid-hike chats. That would have been a very interesting way to do a podcast.
No, but there were lots of good thoughts out on the trail. But yeah, had a wonderful time, beautiful trip, a lot of time in the mountains, which was great. And I think what I loved so much was after talking about in episode 1, talking about Wanderlust and talking about Skyrim and how it inspired my love for hiking. And then episode 4, talking about, I want to bring that, that challenge mindset from games and take that to my hikes. And I feel like I did that on the trip and just had, incredible time, some really off the beaten path hikes, put myself out of my comfort zone. But the rewards were magnificent. But good to be back and excited to be talking about games again.
Hell yeah, man. It's very exciting to have you back. I was literally about to say the same thing. So many of the episodes that we've done have been talking about your love of hiking, that sense of wanderlust, and for you to be able to go out and do that, unreal.
Yeah, awesome. It was like the perfect runway. So into the trip, and beautiful time. Had wonderful, flexible, creative mindset while I was out there. Just be thinking, would come across something or find an alternate route and just be flexible and decide I'm going to explore that and do that, which was like a really, it's made me feel like I was younger than I am, which
Amazing.
Was really, really exciting. But mate, I've missed you.
Missed you too. Yeah. And it's good to have you back on the couch. Yeah. Have you played anything since you've come back?
Yeah, well, I played, which was really, really exciting. I played a game called Burly Men at Sea. Now, I'm, usually big open world RPGs. I like to lock 70 to 100 hours into a game and maybe don't play as many of those small indie games as you.
Yeah, very rare for you to touch an indie.
Yeah, but this was incredible. If you haven't played Burly Men at Sea, it'll take you about an hour. It's just so short, but there's wonderful different pathways you can explore. It's sort of quaint. It's hilarious. It's really, really creative. Loved it. It was so much fun.
And co-op too, I believe.
Yeah. So playing it with a friend, really, just so cool. So cool. So that was like a nice thing to come back and be like, let's not dive into anything too hectic. Let's just wander around with some burly men in a boat.
We love it.
How about yourself?
Well, you'll be disappointed to know that I haven't touched any more Croc Legend of the Gobbos.
Why would you ruin my day?
I know, it's blasphemous.
Terrible news.
It's blasphemous.
Here I was having a good time, excited to be back, and no Croc Hunter Legend of the Gobbos.
I'm sorry to let you down. I have been sucked into a completely all-consuming world of Pacopia. So we were, last time we spoke before you went away, I just started Death Stranding, and I've been playing Croc and was enjoying both. I got to the point in Death Stranding where I was about 4.5, 5 hours in. I'd gotten through all the really hectic introductory cutscenes, which people talk about how long they are, and I'm like, get over yourselves, guys. They are really long. They're really long. It's good. It's engaging. But, often when you're sitting down to play a game, you're like, I want to play a game, not watch a movie. And I was really enjoying it. And I got to the point where it's like, you are free. Like, all this kind of big introductory stuff is done. We've taught you how to use all these various controls and mechanics. Go. And I think where I am now is where people started to fall in love with the game.
Yeah.
In that sense of wanderlust that we talked about in episode 1, a lot of people talk about how Death Stranding had a similar feeling for them as Skyrim did for you. And I feel like I'm at the make or break it phase where if I keep playing, I'm either going to fall in love with it or I'm going to get bored.
Yeah.
But as I hit that point, Pacopia launched.
Yeah.
And Pacopia has just been all encompassing. I'm sure people listening to this podcast have heard of it. It's like Pokemon meets Minecraft, and it's made by the people who did the Dragon Quest Builders game. It's phenomenal. I never really played Minecraft.
Yep.
I literally never played Minecraft.
Oh, never at all.
I missed, I think I was in that stage of adolescence, early adulthood, where when it came out, I wasn't the target audience.
Yeah.
And I never really got into that. And so, yeah, I did, however, play a lot of Animal Crossing as a kid. I played the first one on GameCube, and every installment from there I've played as well. And so this scratches that Animal Crossing itch that a lot of us felt when we were locked down in 2020.
Yep.
Literally I had my 30th birthday in the second week of Victoria in Australia's lockdown, which was one of the biggest lockdowns around the world.
Mm.
And I literally had my Animal Crossing characters throw me a birthday party. I think I made a post on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff being like, had a great COVID lockdown birthday.
What a birthday.
And one of the screenshots is like my 3 favorite Animal Crossing residents being like, happy birthday.
That is amazing.
So, it's a bit sad when you look back on that and think about that time. But hey, it was a great game, and that had everyone around the world obsessed as well.
Yeah.
And I think Pocopia has done a very similar thing. It's taken Animal Crossing, Minecraft, put them together with an IP that everyone knows and loves, like Pokemon. And it's so all-encompassing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk a little bit about Pocopia today, probably scattered in and out of what we're talking about, is I really wanted to talk about playing what everyone else is playing. That sense of FOMO when a game comes out and takes the world by storm.
Yeah.
And you are like, I need to be a part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I grew up playing Pokemon games. I love Pokemon. One of the first Game Boy games I ever owned was Pokemon Red when it came out in like 1999 here in Australia. And so for me, I've been a kind of diehard Pokemon fan for most of my life. And so for me, I was on the fence about getting this game. I saw it and was like, I'll wait and see what the reviews are like.
Okay.
Because Pokemon has gone downhill over the past decade, I would say, in terms of their development. Like Game Freak, they know that Pokemon prints money, and so they just churn out these games that are on like Switch and Switch 2, and they look like they should be on a Nintendo 3DS still. And so my expectations for Pokemon games have just kind of continually been dropping.
Yeah.
To the point where now it's not a day one buy for me anymore.
Yeah.
I will usually wait, see what reviews are saying, maybe even see what some of the new Pokemon designs are and stuff like that. But with Pocopia, it was very much okay, this one's not being made by Game Freak. Interesting. The team that did Dragon Quest Builders, that got great reviews as well. Really interesting. But again, not sure this is a genre that I'm going to be interested in. And when it came out and it was like, this game is incredible.
Yep.
Best Pokemon game in years. I was like, hell yeah, man. I'm swinging by the shops and picking it up today.
Yeah.
And I think I got it within the first 3 or 4 days of launch.
Yep.
And I have been obsessed with it.
Yep.
But it did make me think about, have you ever played a game that you weren't enjoying just because everyone else said it was incredible?
Yep.
And like when we force ourselves to play through a game that we don't even like because it's part of the zeitgeist, everyone's talking about it, and you have that FOMO or fear of missing out. Have you ever, had a game that you weren't enjoying and just pushed through because everyone said it was amazing or reviews said it was a masterpiece?
Yeah, I think for me a big one with that, and this is probably well, please feel free to write in and let me know what you think of me after this. But Red Dead Redemption 2, great masterpiece of a game, or, game of the year. So many people love it. I didn't come to it initially. I came to it a bit later, and I sort of started playing it and was just sort of thinking, actually, I don't really want to play this right now. I don't want to launch into this massive game. But I sort of really pushed myself just through the first 10, 15 hours. And I genuinely wasn't enjoying it just because I just don't think I was in the right mindset to play. But I was like, I have to play this.
Yeah.
I have to try it. And I just felt that I was just slogging through. And because I'd almost put myself in this mindset that I must just play this, I've got to get through it, I just don't think I enjoyed it as much as I should have, which I think is really interesting. That it's almost, I've put myself in this place where I think I have to do this thing. And all of a sudden I'm not enjoying it maybe as much as I could have.
And just never clicked.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the interesting things that I want to look at throughout this episode as well, is how that then makes you feel.
Yeah.
Because you know that this game is a masterpiece. You literally just said it yourself. And you're like, everyone loves this game. it's gotten such incredible reviews. Years and years later, people are still talking about it, still playing it. Why am I not getting it?
Mm.
And like, did you feel a sense of disappointment, or did you feel a sense of like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not enjoying this?
Yeah, a little bit, because I think I'd absorbed so much of the popular opinion. I'd read all the reviews, all the buzzwords, masterpiece, like technically unbelievable, incredible story, great character design, flawless gameplay, wonderful exploration. Like they're all just flying around in my head. And it was weird to think like, hey, I'm just not getting into this. And yeah, I felt like, like what am I missing? It's funny because I had this fear of missing out of not playing the game. But then while I was playing it, I almost had this feel that I think I'm missing something because I'm not enjoying it to the level that I think I should be based on what everyone said. And I think I think it's really hard sometimes in the game world to be able to almost separate, like, do I want to play this game versus should I play this game?
100%. And that's where the FOMO kind of hits you differently, because if you were to say to me, I played the first 3 hours of Red Dead 2, I don't know, man, I'm just not there.
Yep.
A lot of people fall off in that first 3 hours or so because you're in the snow. It's that introductory area. It's just not as open.
Yep.
And it's not as interesting yet. You haven't hit the core of the story. But for you to get 15 or so hours in, like you really gave Red Dead 2 a crack.
Yes.
Like you gave that a solid go.
Yep.
And it does make me wonder, if you went back to it now years later, would it click? Because I think for some people it does, and they do come back to these games. This might be a completely different episode in itself.
Yep.
But you find a game that you go back to and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I hated this.
Yeah.
Or I just couldn't get into it last time. But now, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting looking at the FOMO side of things and the pressure to play what's popular, critically acclaimed, or culturally important in the moment, even if it doesn't suit your tastes.
Yes.
So run us through, I suppose, Amrith, the psychology behind what FOMO is.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting just to let's just dial it back before we get too much into it. I mean, like, the fear of missing out, it's a very real thing in modern society now, and it comes in all different shapes and sizes. But essentially, when you feel this anxiety or this unease that other people are having enjoyable and rewarding experiences that you're not having. And it's this fear that, they're having these cool experiences and I'm not. And it's like now these days, it's a genuine, real problem. I'm sure everyone listening at some stage has felt it or has had to deal with it, whether that's just scrolling through, like an Instagram feed and seeing what your friends are up to and you're not doing it, or if it's, you're sitting at home and you're thinking, I know my friends are out and I could be doing something like this instead. And it's a really tough one because we are social animals at the end of the day, and we're hardwired to want to be part of the tribe, and it's really natural for us to fear that exclusion. But I think these days that fear has really been sent into overdrive in a kind of a modern world of social media, online interconnectivity, everyone basically knowing what everyone is up to at any stage in time. And so I think it can be really hard now to separate that. I think people have to work pretty hard to be comfortable doing what they're doing and without worrying what anyone else is doing. And I actually think in the game world now, this is, it's I don't know if it's talked about that much, but I think it's almost in like overdrive in the gaming landscape.
100%.
And yeah, so this is I think it's going to be such a cool thing to explore as we think like, well, cool, how does it affect us? And like, is there a way through it?
Yeah. And I think there's two kind of core categories or types of FOMO when it comes to gaming as well. The first is the critical FOMO of this game is a masterpiece, I should play it.
Yes.
And that's based on reviews, feedback, whatever.
Yep.
And then the cultural FOMO of everyone else is playing this game.
Yeah.
I'm missing out if I don't get it.
Yep.
And you would see this all the time with little kids. Like a new game would come out in like, I don't know, maybe they're in year 6 or 7. And it's like, oh, mum, dad, this has just come out. Like, please, 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 you've got to let me, like, literally everyone else is playing it.
I have to.
If I don't get this, I'm going to be a social pariah.
Yes.
And, like, I imagine that's what Fortnite was like when it first came out. And, fortunately, Fortnite was free to play.
Yes.
But, you pay for extra skins and extra, what are they called, battle passes where you can unlock things. And so it would be like, I know I'm playing this game for free, but mum, dad, come on, you got to get me the battle pass and you got to get me this, like GTA Online or whatever. Everyone's got these cool cars. Everyone's got these cool things. And here's me driving my pleb taxi or whatever. I think as a kid, that's when you really see that cultural FOMO.
Yeah.
And that is live or die cultural FOMO.
Yep.
As adults, we definitely still see cultural FOMO in gaming. Like, I literally just talked about Pacopia before.
Yeah.
A huge part of that is this is the it game at the moment.
Yeah.
This is the zeitgeist. This is what everyone's talking about.
Yep.
I want to get in on that.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss it.
And it's so cool because you kind of had a really good handle, what you were describing at the start of the episode, had a great handle on, how you see Pokemon games, but you were still almost waiting. You're waiting for that extra little like, I just need people to say it's really good, and then I'll follow, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, it was almost like a part of me didn't trust myself completely.
Yeah.
Which we'll kind of come back to as well. But I'm just kind of really interested in why we chase games that aren't us as well. Like, we have our own genres that we love. For me, I love puzzle platformers. I love action adventure games, RPGs. For you, I imagine you've got your Souls games, action RPGs as well.
Yeah.
I'm putting words in your mouth. Feel free to stop me at any stage.
You know me. You know me like the back of your hand. Big open world RPGs, action RPGs. Yeah, the occasional indie game, but I know that some things I'm not going to go for too much. I'm happy to let a few things slide.
Yes. Oh, and indies, of course, for me.
Yeah.
Big one. But so we know what is us.
Yep.
We know what our tastes are when it comes to gaming. And still so often you'll see these FOMO moments and you'll be like, this isn't my genre.
Yeah.
But everyone's talking about how good it is. Let's give it a go.
Yep.
And I think a huge part of that is wanting to be a part of the moment, which we were just kind of touching on, especially now, as you were saying, the sense of FOMO with this interconnected social media landscape, memes everywhere, discourse on the game, this sense of discovery, having things spoiled for you.
Yeah.
But I think, being in the conversation, as I said, Pacopia was a huge one. But another one that's come out recently that everyone was talking about, and this game came out of nowhere for me. I still haven't touched it yet. Crimson Desert.
I was hoping you were going to say Crimson Desert. I was really hoping you were going to say that.
Have you played it?
I haven't played it yet. And do you know what's actually really funny is that I actually don't really have a huge interest in playing it.
That surprises me because it ticks so many of your boxes.
Yeah. And I think it's almost because there has just been so much. I think this is it's such a good example of what we're talking about. There's just been so much noise about it. It's almost like everyone needs to have an opinion on it. If you're in the gaming landscape, whether you're on Reddit or whether you're content creating, whether you're just playing and talking to your friends, it's like I was away and I had people messaging me being like, "Oh, are you going to get Crimson Desert?" And I'm just like, well, "Why are you messaging me about this?" we don't really talk about games that much.
It's like, no, dude, I'm in a real desert right now. Although no.
I haven't heard from you in 10 years. Why are you messaging me now? But yeah, it's just like everyone wants to be part of this conversation. And I've got like a couple of YouTubers I watch, and one of them did this really good review on it, which I sort of really enjoyed. And he sort of talked about how it's like one of the worst games that he's just had so much fun with. In the sense, he's like, I can see why there's so much hype about it, but there's also just so much like not that good from like his standpoint about the game.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but because everyone's playing it.
It had, I think a huge part of that is it had an incredible marketing campaign in the lead up.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of hype, but then in the last kind of like 6 weeks before it launched, it was everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. You had streamers or reviewers. I think it's like the Gaming Foundry or Game Foundry or whatever. They do all their tech specs and stuff on it.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's really visually impressed. Like all this positive kind of press was coming out about it.
Yep.
And I was like, what is this game? How have I not heard anything about it? And then when it came out, the reviews were like, this game is pretty mid. like it's pretty average. Visually, really impressive. The scope of it is incredible. Everything that they're going for is amazing.
Yeah.
But there are so many buggy, messy parts that make it really hard to be like, you must play this game immediately.
Yeah.
It makes it really hard for us to say, unequivocally, this game is a masterpiece, go and pick it up.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Sometimes it's better to wait, even though there is that FOMO impulse of everyone is talking about this game and it is in the zeitgeist, it is in the moment, but maybe it's better to wait a few months for those patches and various fixes. Even though you are likely then going to be out of the conversation, you're ultimately going to have a better gaming experience.
Yes, 100%.
And I think a huge game that just proves that point was Cyberpunk.
Yeah. I mean, look at us now. I mean, I adore Cyberpunk, and the playthrough we've had is just wonderful. And it's not necessarily a game that, because it's sort of the futuristic cityscape genre, it doesn't necessarily fit my like fantasy, open world, mountains, elves, trolls, blah blah blah. But
I thought you said elder trolls for a second.
The elder trolls.
Come back, I want to put you in my soup.
We're going to get an Elder Trolls game before we get Elder Scrolls 6.
Absolutely, I would believe that.
Todd Howard, please. We don't want Elder Trolls. We want Elder Scrolls.
I would love it if this podcast ever became popular enough to reach his ears and he put some Elder Trolls in just as a little nod to us being like, Law and Order.
Yep.
You guys are amazing.
Like I always say, it's good to have a stretch goal. Yeah. It's good to have something where you aim really, really high.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's like, I want to, push my career and I want to like buy a really great house or I want to start a family. For me, it's Todd Howard mentioning Elder Trolls.
Elder Trolls, that's it. It's a lofty goal.
Yeah. But you know what? Aim high.
That's it. Yeah. Aim high. And you were saying though.
What was I saying?
You were talking about how in a lot of it's a great question. I actually don't fully remember. You were talking about Elder Scrolls and stuff.
We've got so deep into the Elder Trolls. We're really on a journey now.
Throw out this whole FOMO episode. It's like, okay, I now need to create the lore about these trolls. How did they grow to be so old while still hunting humans? Why has no one tried to take down the Elder? Or have they and they just can't because they're so powerful?
How old do these trolls actually get? Are they immortal?
They could be. They could be. And yet they're immortal, but they're still aging, and so their skin's extra saggy. All right, we're getting way too sidetracked.
No. We're talking about Cyberpunk and how that's a game that, it was obviously such a mess when it first came out.
Yes.
And I think if we had played that, or if I had played that immediately when it came out, I think, it probably would have been much harder for me to get into it because in the back of my mind, I would have thought, this maybe isn't the game for me given its setting. And then if there are a few things wrong and, gameplay fixes just weren't happening quick enough, then maybe that would just be like, you know what, I'm going to leave this. So I think that's a really cool example. Like, let's just like sit and wait on a bit until it's in a much better place to play as opposed to just trying to be part of that conversation. Yeah. But it's hard. It's hard.
100%. Yeah. Wanting to be a part of the moment, I think, is just such a basic human experience. And then I think another thing that feeds that is the power of reviews and authority.
Yes.
Like as soon as someone like IGN, who has been out forever, and I know a lot of people have opinions about IGN, they're too lenient or they're too harsh. I think people just like ragging on IGN, to be honest. But, if they come out and say, hey, this is a game of the year contender, this is a 9 or a 10, immediately the power of that review or the authority that they have from being around for decades is huge.
Yep.
That carries a lot of weight. And this kind of idea of objective greatness about a game.
Yeah, cool. Objective greatness. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing to expand on, I think, because I think the power of that sort of review language, but also that review culture, is so strong, and I just think we just don't really realize this. I came across this great article that I was reading last week. And this was from about 2009, I think 2010.
Okay.
But it just hit the nail on the head, and it's still so prevalent. And essentially, what it talked about is how when we as people talk about video games, if we're just talking about it with our friends, and we're discussing it, we basically use all this review language, technical jargon. We talk about like the graphics are so good, or the gameplay is so good, or the storyline is absolutely brilliant. It's really immersive, and these are all the words that sort of you get that come from these game reviews.
They're catchwords.
Yeah, they're technical catchwords. It's jargon, and it's interesting because after I read that, I realized I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how I often describe games as well. Sometimes I fall into that trap. If a friend asks me, for example, why do you like this game? I'll say things like, oh, it's really immersive, or it's great gameplay. We use all these objective terms. We talk about why it's objectively great. Whereas when we talk about other things, I don't know, like books or our favorite foods, it's usually much more nuanced and much more subjective about, why we like it. You still might have that technical language. You might say, oh, it's a really well-written book. But you talk about, why did it speak to me? Or, I just couldn't put it down. Or, this is why I loved it. Like, this character really resonated with me. And it's a much more subjective thing. And so I think it's so interesting how we almost have this shallow analysis when it comes to gameplay, just because we're using these sort of technical jargon words rather than having sort of a deep, nuanced conversation of why I actually like this game.
Yeah. And as you were saying that, it made me think as well, how we feel while we're playing the game is very rarely something that you see in a review. And I get that. Like, these people writing these reviews need it to translate to the widest audience possible.
Yeah.
And so being like, this game made me feel this, or this game made me feel like when I was a kid.
Yes.
And, you know, my parents loved me and, you know, like whatever. They're not going to get existential and talk about these things. Whereas, when we read a book, we are much more likely to talk about how that made us feel.
Yeah.
And as you were kind of explaining that, it also made me think about certain games that you will play and be like, I know that this game technically isn't a masterpiece.
Yes.
And maybe a lot of people listening to this right now who might be playing Crimson Desert are like, yeah, this game isn't a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But I feel so powerful playing it.
Yes.
Or I feel so, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
That is a lot rarer to hear than those standard games of just like technically unbelievable, graphically sweet as whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Because the Crimson Desert especially, there's so much hype, but there's been so much mixed reception.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, how does this kind of align? Because some people are loving it, obviously, and the reviews like, it's fine. And people are like, it's amazing.
Mm.
And it's resonating with them because it's making them feel something.
Yeah.
But what they're feeling isn't being translated in the reviews that we're seeing.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's it's so important to be able to essentially cut through that for yourself and think, okay, like why would I want to play this game? You know, I think that is what is just so important. But it's hard to do because like you like we're saying, we don't want to miss out, and we get swept up in the excitement, we get swept up in that jargon
and the authority. One of the biggest things I saw was how well reviewed Blueprints was that came out. I'm pretty sure that was this year. It was either late last year or early this year, but I think it was this year because people were like, "Oh, Game of the Year contender from another indie developer," sort of thing, and it got like a 9 or a 10, and I've seen so many posts on social media, Reddit, all sorts of stuff of people being like, I do not get the hype.
Yeah,
I do not get it. But so many people purchased that game based on the authority that those reviewers had. All the reviews came out being like, this game is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And a lot of people picked it up, even though it was outside of their genre, outside of what they knew was them and their comfort game genres, whatever. And they went, I don't get it. And it was that banging their head against the wall moment.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because we almost trust the consensus more than our own taste sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a good point. And that actually makes me think of, there's a philosopher, A.C. Grayling, who I really like, and one of his books, Philosophy on Life, and how he talks about that in this modern world, it's so easy, and what most people do is we basically pick a philosophy from a shelf and how to live our life, whether that's chosen by society or by our family, but we don't actively think and choose our own philosophy for life, which I think is such an important thing to do. You need to really think for yourself because there's no one size fits all approach.
Yeah.
You need to really think, okay, you might borrow from different things, or you might think, you know what, this is the philosophy, and you pick it from the shelf, but you've thought about it and you think this is me and this is what works. And I think that's such a valuable thing to be able to do with games as well. I mean, if you should be able to think, okay, these are the games I like. This is what I want to play. This is how I feel about certain things, as opposed to just being, I'll just, review said it's good. I'll just pick it. I'll just pick that off the shelf and just follow what people have said. But yeah, I think it's such an important thing. But yeah, so hard to do.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's the tricky thing as well, because when it works, FOMO is good.
Yeah.
Like
I was waiting. I was waiting to be like, yeah, sometimes maybe good.
Sometimes, man, when it hits, it really friggin' hits.
Yeah.
And in that sense, you discover a new genre.
Yeah.
And it expands your taste in gaming.
Yeah.
So many people have just started falling in love with JRPGs because of Expedition 33.
Yes.
And that's amazing. I think that FOMO was good for some of those people in the sense that they were like, wow, this genre is actually really fun. I want to explore some other games. Maybe I'll look at some of the old Dragon Quests or let's go all the way back to like Super Nintendo era and played like Chrono Trigger and old school Final Fantasies.
Yep.
So sometimes you really surprise yourself and it does expand your taste and you do discover new genres. And so I guess a game I was going to ask you what's a game that you didn't think you would enjoy but ended up loving, but I think you kind of kicked the episode off with it with Burly Men at Sea.
Literally, like Burly Men at Sea. It's just never something I thought I played, but it's interesting. It came from a source that I trust.
Yeah.
Is essentially the way that I look at it. It's like I try not to trust every single source, but I've got a few friends like yourself where if you recommend something because you know me, you know what I like, and you're going to say, hey, this is something I've played. I think it's really cool. I actually think you would really like it. And so because it came from that source that I trust, it was a friend who recommended it to me. I was like, you know what? I will give it a go. And I'm so glad I did. But it was interesting. It was less of that feeling of, if I don't play Burly Men at Sea, am I going to be, missing out on something massive? Not really. But it was kind of a really nice sort of realization that, hey, like I can have these sources that I trust and do essentially let guide me at times to then discover something really cool and new. But yeah, I mean, there are other times when it's been bigger than that. I mean, I first played Skyrim with a friend.
Yeah.
Would have been literally 2011. He was like, this is an amazing game. I didn't really know anything about it. And he's like, come around and play it. I'll show it to you. I think you'll love it. He's like, you've just got to play it. It was basically that you must play it. You've got to do it. You can't miss out. And yeah, that worked. That worked. I mean, I'm still playing it now.
Yeah.
16 years later.
I feel you. I think for me, a big one was Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
Huge risk for me to pick that game up because I hated first-person shooters. Couldn't stand them. The only time I'd ever really played first-person shooters other than like GoldenEye on the 64, which was just, a bit of silly fun with friends, was just getting my ass kicked in CODs or even Halo, like anything. Yeah. They were not a genre that I gravitated to. And so when I did play them at friends' houses, I lost every single time.
Yep.
And I was just like, this really doesn't excite me. And then Far Cry 3 came out. And at the time I had an Xbox 360 and it was getting good reviews and the location looked really cool. And people were talking about how good Vass was as a villain. And so I went, I'll give it a go. I'll give this a try. And I loved it.
Awesome.
I was obsessed. And then they had their like spin-off Blood Dragon. And then they did Far Cry Primal and Far Cry 4. And I played all of them. And then I kind of fell off halfway through Far Cry 5 because I started feeling like it was getting a little bit repetitive. And then I haven't touched 6. And maybe I will eventually.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't in a rush. But Far Cry 3 in particular was a genre that I would have normally had absolutely zero interest in, and I took a risk and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the franchise for years and years after that.
Yeah.
Which is huge. And I think Expedition 33 was also a risk for me.
Yeah, great example.
I really like JRPGs. I don't know what it was about Expedition 33. I got into it before the hype got crazy and before people were talking about it as a Game of the Year contender.
Yeah.
I saw it advertised, and I kind of just ummed and ahed. I was like, ooh, French development team, kind of like double A-ish studio, like really kind of cutting their teeth in the industry. It's not quite an indie. It's not quite a triple A.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, I'm going to give this a go because it sounds really unique.
Yeah.
I think that's what got me.
Yep.
There was that the FOMO was this looks really unique and I want to be able to look at this and have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And that was my game of last year.
Yeah.
That and DK Bonanza. But,
slightly different style and scope.
Very different style and scope. But, I would love to do an episode on Expedition 33 in particular about the way that it tackles grief.
Yeah.
And how that helped me process things like my dad's death and all that sort of stuff. But that was a game that absolutely took me by surprise. I didn't really think that I was necessarily going to love it, and it just ticked every single box.
Yeah. Awesome.
The next thing I think to look at then is when it didn't click. Because FOMO can be great, but then there's obviously these times where it just doesn't, like for you with Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
15 hours is pushing through.
Yes.
Like you really pushed through on that.
Yeah. Really gave it a crack. And I think but I think for me, the biggest thing for me, and I think what I've realized now is like when that doesn't work is when I know is when I know and I've identified that I'm doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I'm doing it just to be part of the conversation, or I'm doing it literally because of objective greatness. It's like objectively, everyone's like, this is an objectively great game. I was like, I don't want to miss it. And it's actually, it's a great topic to think about now with doing this podcast, right? Is that we are going to have to be, very careful and very aware of this. Because, there's going to be times when we think, oh, like if this is such an objectively great game.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we should play it because like we need to be part of the conversation. We're literally bringing that to people. But I think it's also about realizing that there's so many games that you can't play them all.
Yeah.
And so I think we've got to think, as long as we're doing it for the right reasons and we know that it's something we want to spend time on, it's not going to be like, oh, geez, I just got to get through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting point because you're right. With this podcast, there are certain things that are going to come out that we're like, we should probably play this so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Because we want to be an authority on everything, but we also need to be aware of what our limitations are in terms of our own taste.
Yes.
And we don't want to push through things that we don't like.
Exactly.
But then people listening to us, like we are talking about specific games and their objective greatness. Like for you, Skyrim is an all-timer.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing out things like Expedition 33 or Red Dead 2 or anything, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And people might listen to this and get FOMO as well. So we could be perpetrators of the FOMO.
Yeah. I remember it's something I thought about with Witcher 3, right? Is that it's because I love the game so much. I'm almost like aggressive about how much I like it.
Amrit loves The Witcher 3 so much that he actually went on an Australian TV game show and had The Witcher 3 as his special topic. Do you want to tell people, if anyone's listening, you can look up this episode, you can stream it.
I did not think that this was ever going to come up. That is amazing. Was it was two? It was two. I went on Mastermind was with The Witcher. They made me do the TV show as my topic, but whatever. But Hard Quiz.
Hard Quiz is the one I was talking about.
Yeah, Hard Quiz, Australian, Tom Gleeson, and it was just great. He just, I had a couple of cracks at Tom Gleeson about him being a terrible comedian, and then he just paid me out about being a nerd for the entirety of the rest of the show. He would read a question about The Witch, and he'd just look at me and he'd be like, Amrit, what is this, mate? It was very, very fun. But yeah, that's how much I love The Witcher.
Yes.
Because I literally went to the TV show, and I almost won. I got close.
You got very close.
I got close.
It's a great episode. Everyone should go and watch it. But circling back, you're an aggressive fan of The Witcher.
Yeah, and I think sometimes I might be too much. I'm like, you have to play this. Yeah. You should play this. Go play it. And so that's when I think I could be that perpetrator of that FOMO. Like someone might walk away from a conversation and feel like, oh, I better play The Witcher. And that's not how I would like them to come into the universe, right? I would love them to try it and be like, hey, I love this because it speaks to me. Or I just like fell in love with some of the areas or the characters, or it just made me feel like I was just part of this incredible world, as opposed to, oh geez, I better play this because everyone says it's great.
100%. Because as soon as you start forcing yourself through things, you're waiting for an aha moment that's never going to come.
Yep.
And it leads to this sense of disappointment, maybe even alienation, especially if everyone's like, this game is amazing. And you're like, I really don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how that's changed from our childhood to adulthood as well. Because when I was a little kid, I don't know about you, but I just played what I naturally loved.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a part of it could be pre-internet.
Yep.
The internet was around, but it was pre-social media, pre all of that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And so, for me, I didn't get into any of the GTA games before GTA 5, even though my younger brother was playing them.
Yeah.
Like, he was 2 years younger than me, and he was literally playing Vice City, way too young to be playing Vice City. I do not know why my parents allowed him to play GTA, but they did. Whereas here's me, 2 years older than him, and I'm like, I love Mario, Sonic, and Pokemon, and Harvest Moon, and, farming simulations. Like, the cuter, more family-friendly game, the better. Like, I was all about it.
Yep.
And there was no pressure or discourse.
Yep.
Whereas now, there's just like infinite choice as adults. We have so much money.
So many games as well.
There's constant comparison, online discussion, top 100 games of all time lists.
Yep.
Like none of this stuff we were getting our eyes on as kids.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like now that we're adults, like as kids, we just played whatever we loved.
Yeah.
And now as adults, we're having all of these FOMO, what's it called? We're existential crises.
Yeah.
Did we lose trust in our own taste somewhere along the way?
Yeah, I think maybe we did. I think we were. It was just more natural. It was, do what we feel like and like look at what's in front of us. Whereas now there's a world of opinions that we're exposed to. And it's harder than ever, as going back to that AC Grayling point, to pick your own philosophy, but it's so important. And so I think it's harder now, just with the endless choice and the endless opinions that come at you. It's like, how do you separate what is my feeling and what is my opinion and what do I want versus I'm doing what everyone else thinks I should.
Yeah, and if you love gaming, like it genuinely is a part of your identity.
Yeah,
like hobbies that we love.
Yeah,
I mean, again, gaming could be part of your identity because you literally work in the industry, but for a vast majority of us, it's going to be a hobby.
Yes.
But it does make up a huge part of us. Like gaming is a huge part of my identity. I've been playing games my whole life. We're literally making a podcast about gaming.
Very important.
It almost feels like now that there's this canon gaming experience that you have to have. Like I need to play this game to consider myself a gamer.
Yes.
And obviously, like, there's a lot of gatekeeping and stuff like that, but it almost feels like there are games that you're supposed to have played to make you a gaming expert, to make you a gaming connoisseur. Oh, you haven't played Dark Souls? You can't be a part of this discussion.
You don't know anything. Like there's that is wrong, and it's so unfair because there's so much, and you are never going to be able to play everything.
No.
And like I think it's sad and almost borderline irresponsible that canon experience is almost perpetrated sometimes in the community. Growing up, for example, I never owned a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Right. And like I don't know. I'm fortunate that I never had that feeling that like, oh God, there's something wrong with me, or I'm missing out on this incredible thing. And I've always felt like a gamer, even though I never owned a Nintendo. And I think that's like such a nice place to be in. But I would hate to think that there are people who don't have that. There's someone who only plays a specific type of game and they think, oh, I'm not like a real gamer, or like,
It's really interesting because that was one of the first thoughts that I had when we started talking about doing this episode. I was like, you didn't grow up playing Nintendo.
Yeah.
And so when you look at these 100 greatest games of all time lists, so many games in the top 10 to 20 are usually Nintendo games.
Yes.
Like Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64, or more modern iterations like Galaxy and Odyssey. Then you also go back to the older ones even, like looking at Super Mario World, Mario 1, 2, and 3. There are so many Nintendo games that make up these top 100 greatest of all times. And that was one of the first thoughts was, do you ever feel, or have you ever been made to feel less than because you haven't played any of those games? Yeah,
I think at times, but I think I've always had a pretty good handle on it. I've got a much better handle on it now. There were definitely times in school, I think when I was, late primary school, early secondary school, when I was, sort of 10 to 14, a little bit of those periods, people be talking about things, or, I didn't own an Xbox, and, maybe part of me, I would go and hang out with mates just to play Halo. But I don't, so maybe there was a feeling I was like, oh, like, I'm missing out. I don't have Halo and this is so cool. But I think it was just because I loved it. And I was like, I just want to play it. This game really spoke to me when I was younger. So I think it has happened at times. I think I've been fortunate to have, kept a pretty good grip on these are the games I like.
Yeah.
And I'm happy just to keep playing them.
Yeah.
Playing them. And if that means I miss some things and I let some things go through to the keeper, then that's fine. I can't play them all.
Do you ever feel like you would want to go back one day? Like when you look at things like Nintendo Switch, they have Nintendo Switch Online where you can literally go back and play Super Nintendo, GameCube, 64, whatever.
Yeah.
Are there any games there? This is kind of veering out of FOMO territory. Oh, no, it's still kind of relevant because you might have that. I've always wanted to play that.
Ooh, yeah.
Are there any that you're like, I really want to go back and play that specific game because it was so critically acclaimed?
I think you mentioned. I think Zelda Ocarina of Time would be the one.
Yeah,
I think
all the Zeldas, if you were to sit down and play one, I would say that's the definitive experience.
Yep.
That or Breath of the Wild for modern.
Yes,
for modern consoles.
Because I think everything about the Zelda franchise it speaks to me. So I think that would be one. Yeah. What about you?
It's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
For me, initially, one of the major series, because I skipped. So I've had like every Nintendo console ever.
Yep.
other than the Virtual Boy, I think it was called.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had all the Nintendo consoles. We had the PS1, PS2, and then I skipped PS3. I had a lot of FOMO that generation around The Last of Us 1, the Infamous games, and I think the old God of War games.
Yeah.
And then I tried, like, obviously at the time, Xbox 360, I was really interested in Mass Effect, which was the main reason why I ended up getting the 360.
Yep.
And I'm really, really glad that I did. But I also wanted to play games that other people were talking about. Like, I'd never played Halo.
Yep.
And so it was like, okay, I should try Halo. Gears of War, I should try Gears of War. And I tried them and I went, cool, not for me.
Yep.
And so when I then came back to PlayStation for the PS4, fortunately, we had Last of Us Remastered. We had Infamous Second Son. I feel like I was able to hit those franchises. Oh, and then, of course, we had God of War 2018. So I feel like those core franchises that I felt a lot of FOMO about, I've managed to play either the most definitive version of that game because it's been remastered, or they've released a sequel, which is a good entry point into that franchise. So I don't really feel a desperate need to go back and play Infamous 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel quite lucky in that regard. There's nothing that I'm like, man, this is a definitive game. Oh, actually, I do have one. Portal 1 and 2.
Ah, yeah.
They are two games because we never had a powerful enough PC.
Yeah.
I could never play Portal 1 or 2. And now I have a laptop which could play it like a piece of piss.
Yes.
You know, like it would be so easy.
Yeah.
I've still never gone back and played them.
Yep.
And I think everyone says Portal 2 is the definitive version to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I would love it because I love puzzle games like that.
Yeah.
But that is one that I've always had a sense of FOMO about, but I have just never gotten around to.
Yeah.
And I know I will one day.
Yep.
But I don't feel that pressing urge.
Yep. And that's good.
Yes.
That's the place you want to be in.
Yes. And yeah, and I think the trickiest kind of situation to be in, I think, is that youth space now where there is that social media presence. Because I remember when you and I worked in education, we would go and deliver seminars to high school kids.
Yep.
And at the end, it'd be like, any questions?
Yep.
And we're expecting questions about the seminar that we've just given. And you would have so many kids be like, sir, are you Xbox or PlayStation?
Yeah, I see you on Fortnite tonight, sir.
Yeah.
Fortnite.
What's your gamer tag? And yeah, all of these kids were just like, what are you? Are you Xbox or PlayStation?
Yeah, it was like get on one side of the fence.
And I couldn't help but think, man, if I was in school with these kids and I didn't have one of those things, like
it'd be hard.
It was heated. Like when I told them I was like PlayStation and Nintendo, they were like, oh, and then you got some kids like, yes,
let's run some PlayStation.
Yeah, but man, it's full on. And yeah, I think that's the important thing. Like it ties into now that toxicity around gatekeeping, which we don't want to heavily fall into.
Yep.
But it obviously does, and it can create this sense of pressure, especially for younger people online, as we talked about. But I think that's amazing for both of us, really, that we haven't felt that desperate pressure to get a game.
Yep.
I think part of that, we're fortunate enough to have grown up in the time that we did. But for you especially, to not have that FOMO around a game like Zelda or something, I think is awesome. And that speaks to your confidence and comfortability within your own taste.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And hopefully everyone listening to this episode, this will help you realize that you have a great taste and you should just trust it.
And that's it, because so much of it in terms of this FOMO is chasing the FOMO and trying to get into it immediately. But one of the major benefits is waiting versus playing now.
Yep.
And launch hype is obviously huge.
Yep. That
is what feeds the FOMO machine.
Yes.
But a lot of the time, a patched reality is so much nicer.
Yeah.
You and I living proof of that, going to Cyberpunk years later and having an infinitely more positive experience.
Yep.
Bugs are out, issues have been ironed through. Bethesda games are so guilty of this.
Yeah.
So many of their recent games come out really patchy, really buggy. And if you just wait a few weeks or a few months, yes, you might be out of the moment.
Yep.
but you're more likely to have that positive experience.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just good to remember where's that drive coming from? Where's that drive of people saying you need to play this, you need to get it right now? It's often coming from a place of, advertising or revenue. It's about building money. It's about, getting the game out there, about building a great marketing campaign. It's not necessarily about, hey, this is like, you should be playing this because I know you'll love it. So I think it's important to think like, it's okay, I can wait a little bit and it's all right. I don't need to be part of that conversation immediately.
And that's been one of the biggest things for me is waiting for patched stuff.
Yeah.
Like Baldur's Gate 3, when that came out, I knew I was going to love it.
Yes.
I knew, as someone who plays D&D, as someone who loves fantasy, that game ticked every box for me.
Yep.
But I waited like a year because I just knew that there would be patches, and I had no understanding at the time how incredible Larian were going to be in terms of their like free DLC.
Yep.
It's I say DLC, but it's not even DLC. They never released DLC.
Yeah.
They released patch after patch after patch, which ended up resulting in what could have been paid DLC.
Yeah.
And yes, there obviously was that sense of tension to be like, do I play this now and be a part of the moment, or do I wait and get the better experience?
Yeah.
And I waited a year and I got a much better experience.
Yeah. Which is awesome. And I think that links in so nicely to almost like where we want to leave people is with thinking basically we want you to trust your taste. And I want to ask you, I'm like, how do you know what your taste is? And how do you yourself trust it when you come to picking games? How have you built that yourself?
It's a really good question. I think a huge part of it is bouncing off games. Like a huge part of it is trying games.
Yep.
And a lot of that comes down from when you're a little kid and you go to a friend's house and you play a certain game.
Yep.
Like a number of episodes back now, I talk about how one of my mates had a Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
And I would go and play Sonic at his house, and I would be Tails and he would be Sonic, and we'd play through them. And obviously I had a Nintendo, so I knew I liked platformers, but he would also have other games that I would play, and I would go, oh, I like this, or I don't like this. And so I do think experimentation obviously is part of it.
Yeah.
Experimenting, figuring out, do I like this? I think looking at the kind of stories or the kind of gameplay or even the art style.
Yeah.
Like, I remember as a little kid, I went into EB Games and I saw Harvest Moon Back to Nature on the PS1 on the shelf. And it was that kind of chibi character art that stood out to me. I had no idea what farming simulators were. I mean, Harvest Moon is the OG. This is like pre-Stardew Valley. And I just looked at it and there was this cute farmer with like cute dog and cute animals. And I remember looking at the back and reading the back of it and being like, Mum, I need you to buy me this game.
Yeah.
And that was like the only game I played for like a year. Like I was so immersed. I remember printing. I ended up getting in so much trouble because I used all the ink in our printer, printing the Game Facts guide that someone had put together about all the different townsfolk's timetables, where they were, the different hard events.
That is amazing.
It still to this day is one of the most definitive games of my life in terms of shaping my tastes for games.
Yeah.
Because I played a lot of the Harvest Moon games. Now they're Story of Seasons. They're no longer Harvest Moon. But Stardew Valley, I immediately jumped on straight away when that came out because it was an indie game that was inspired by Harvest Moon. And I'm like, this is an instant buy from me.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And now it's obviously become such a huge thing, which I'm really, really happy about.
Yeah.
But that was literally me going into a video game store, looking at literally looking at don't buy a book based on the cover.
Yep.
I bought that game based on its cover and it changed my complete like taste around gaming.
Yeah.
Or not changed, but expanded.
Yeah.
I was like, here is a whole part of my palette that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And so I think part of it is you have to take a risk.
Yep.
But are you taking a risk because of FOMO? Or are you taking a risk because that thing genuinely interests you?
Yeah. Yeah. And that is such a good point. It's like you're taking that risk because it's like, hey, this looks interesting and this could expand my taste.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think that's a huge part of it for me. Is there anything you would add in terms of your question before about, how did you build your taste?
Yeah, I think I think it's just it's following feeling, it's following what you like. It's trusting that what you like is going to be good for you and you're going to enjoy it, and not thinking you need to do everything. I think for me it's just about it's about really actively choosing, these are the things that I like and this is what I want to spend my time on. Consider what are the games that I like, what are the elements that I like. So for me, it's like I obviously love the fantasy setting. I love open world RPGs. I love anything with sort of like you know big like puzzle problem solving elements. I occasionally I know I enjoy things a bit quaint or esoteric, like barely men at sea. But I think what I would want to sort of leave people with is there is nothing more valuable than your time.
Yeah.
Like your time is the most precious resource that you have. When it comes to gaming, you can never play all the games. You can't play them all.
Yeah.
If you start a game, you don't like it, it is okay to not finish it. You don't need to plow through it, because if you spend 50 hours playing a game that you don't really like, that is very, very valuable time. And that's, and not only does this trusting your taste and really valuing your time apply to games, but like take that mindset with anything. Like you're never going to try every restaurant. You're never going to read every book. You're never going to be able to hang out with every single person in the world. So just, lean into trusting your own taste and just don't do what people say you should do.
100%.
Yeah, unless it aligns with your taste.
Love that. Because at the end, taste is personal. It's not a test. It's not a checklist.
Yeah.
And a game can be incredible and not for you at the same time. And when it comes to our identity as gamers, learning what we don't like is just as important as discovering what we do like.
So important. Such a good point.
So play those games that interest you. If they don't hit, they don't hit. That's fine. You can bounce off.
Yeah.
But the next time a game's getting 10 out of 10 reviews and everyone's talking about it, maybe the question shouldn't be, should I play this? It should be, is this game for me?
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on.
Well, that is our episode. We'll leave you with that. Don't get too much fear of missing out. We'll be back in a week's time with a fresh episode. Amrit, a pleasure as always.
James, so good to be here. And Todd Howdy, if you're listening, I'm looking forward to playing Elder Scrolls.
Oh, me too.
Come back. Come back. I'm going to put you in my soup.
Boy.